Hey folks, this is Jason Lewis, the producer of the From the Shadows podcast. I just want to remind you about our website, fromtheshadowspodcast.com. We have a Facebook page. We would appreciate it if you like and follow. Also, join our discussion group on Facebook called After the Shadows. We have a Twitter feed. Please follow us on Twitter. It can be found with @podcast_from. Follow us on Instagram @From the Shadows Podcast. We have a YouTube channel. Go to the search bar at YouTube and put From the Shadows Podcast, and please subscribe to that channel. We are also on the Odyssey Radio Network, and we can be found there at odyssey1.com. We're still on the traditional podcatchers that everybody loves to listen to us on. We get a lot of feedback, so please rate the podcast and communicate with whether you're on Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, or Google Podcasts. We're there, and we appreciate it when you leave comments for us. We also have a Patreon page. It can be found at www.patreon.com/FromTheShadows. You can receive books, stickers, coffee mugs, and special content just for our Patreon subscribers. Check it out for yourself and see what packages that we have to offer. Well, that's all I have for you right now, folks, and thanks for being a part of the From the Shadows podcast family. So with that being said, let's get this episode started.
So Howler, we were talking Outlaws last week. You got any more good outlaw stories?
Oh, I'm telling you, I got so many outlaw stories. I'll run out of people. I grew up, and this is another kid I grew up with. I want to call him Bruce. You ever see that movie? They call me Bruce. Let's just call him Bruce. And he was born to be an outlaw. Okay, he was born, and he's actually one of the few people that's real. I mean, he shot somebody. Okay, so when you got gunplay in your resume as an outlaw, now you're somebody. Okay.
Yeah.
And when you shoot somebody and a law shows up and they don't arrest you, that's even better street cred, right?
Oh yeah, it's got to be,
but
right?
I tell you what, now this boy, his dad and his mom did everything they could to try to keep him on the straight and narrow, and he just didn't want to do it, man. He just did not want to do it. Whenever kids were wearing, I remember, and you guys do too, when you're in middle school, when Nikes were the real deal. People first had Nikes, and everybody wanted to get Nikes, right?
The Pegasus, Nike Pegasus.
Yeah, he's wearing square-toed black biker boots with a silver ring on the side. He's got his wallet on the chain, and hey, but I grew up with him, lived down the road from me, and he wanted to play guitar. He'd bring his guitar, the old Stratus knockoff, and he'd bring it out, because I lived on the farm. He'd bring it over to my house to play his guitar because the mules and the horses didn't care, and we were just buddies, you know what I mean? We just buddies. And he was letting me, and his dad owned a body shop, like auto body, and he'd always fix cars and sell them, and he had a little car lot. And this is in the mid-'80s. And I don't know how many Trans Ams he had. And short bed, big block Chevy trucks, and just one cool car after another. His dad would fix this cool stuff up, and Bruce would drive it away around a little bit, and then his old man would sell it to be a cool car central. So when I was 14, 15 years old, he was letting me drive big block Trans Ams out on the street. And if you're not a car guy, you don't know what I'm talking about. Teaching me how to do bleach burnouts, and just absolute insanity. Absolute insanity when I was 14 or 15 years old, because he was an outlaw. I mean, he was 2 years older than me, so he was 16, 17, but he was an outlaw, right? 100%. There was a time, and I was kind of a fledgling goat roper, and when I was junior, I think, he got held back. He ran into some personal potholes and got held back. So he started out a couple years older than me and ended up a year ahead of me or in my class. I don't remember which, but you know what I mean? He had stuff he couldn't navigate real quick. And one of the things is I had this girl dump me, the first breakup gal I ever had. And I was there in my get up at the time. I had these red and black, real super tall cowboy boots, Tony Llamas, and I had my pants tucked in them, and I had a pair of red suspenders, right? And this is right at the end of school. Yeah, think of big 2-inch wide red suspenders. You know what I mean? Flannel shirt, red and black check flannel shirt, and I'm leaning on this locker, getting my heart broken. This old gal's dumping me for a guy in mechanic shop or wood shop or whatever. She was just dumping me, right? She was just dumping me. And he come up behind me in his chain wallet and his biker jacket, and he snapped my suspenders from the back. You remember how people do that?
Yeah.
And I turned around and I said, "Hey, man, don't do that again." Now, he doesn't know I'm going through this heartbreak right here. And he looks at me, tilts his head, and he grabs the front of my suspenders and pulls them as far out as he can. I said, "Don't do that." And he let him go. Pop, pop. And then he smacked me. And he's standing there with his hands on his hips, and he goes, "What are you going to do now?" And without even thinking, I kicked him in the sack so hard. I swear he'd come off the ground, and I was wanting to be the kicker on the football team because I thought it was going to be an easy job, but they didn't let me because they didn't have a kicking shoe. So every year we started off to be the kicker. They took the kicking shoes, and threw it out there. And in order to be a kicker, your foot had to fit in the shoe. Well, by the time I was a freshman, my foot was too big for even varsity shoes. So I never got to be the kicker. But when I kicked him in the sack, I followed through just like I was punting at the state championship game or something. And he grabbed his private parts with both hands, and he just fell over. And I don't even know if he even said anything. Okay. And I turned around and started to walk down the foot because I got football practice, right? So I started around walking, and I got, I don't know, halfway down there, and I could hear my name over the intercom come to the principal's office ASAP. And then the next name they called was the coach. And you know how it is back, especially in small schools. Like, if the principal was getting into some stuff, the coach was like an assistant principal, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's the way it was.
Yeah. Yep.
So I come in there, and the principal's sitting behind the desk, and Bruce is sitting there in front of the desk with his feet on the desk, spread apart, and he's got ice pack on the outside of his pants holding it. And the coach doesn't like him because all his personal potholes in the prior years. And the coach is standing there, and the principal says, "Jeff, you could really hurt somebody. What are we going to do?" The coach really wants to laugh, but he can't. He's standing behind Bruce. And the principal's really acting upset about it. He says, "You really hurt somebody, blah, blah, blah." And about midstream, Bruce goes, "That's okay. I told him how to fight dirty. I told him everything I know. I'm proud of him." And the principal said, "Well, in that case, go to practice." And I got to walk out of there. "I'm proud of him. I told him how to fight dirty."
Hey, the moral of that story is they should have let you kick with a cowboy boot on.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. You know what's funny is I seen him the other not too long ago. This is what's weird about, when you got true friends like this, right? And even though if I was broke out on the highway right here, I could call either one of those two. And if they had the resources to get to me, meaning gas money and a car that would run, they would come get me a lot faster than most of the professionals I ever worked with, right? Because the professionals I'd work with, they'd be trying to second guess your problem solving skills. Well, are you sure your car won't run? Well, are you sure you don't have AAA? Are you sure you don't have something on your insurance that comes to get? They try to. But you call some of these white trash folks, and they don't even ask no questions. They just show up, right? They just show up. So yeah, I got nothing but love for most of these outlaws that I grew up with, anyhow.
Hey, anybody that can take a kick like that and still be your friend, that's a true friend.
Hey, you know what? Next week I'm going to tell you about his gunfight. So next week I'm going to tell you about his gunfight, and then you'll see how tough he really is.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the From the Shadows podcast. Until next time, never shy away from the darkness or what may be lurking in the shadows. We are out.